this in mind because later there'll be a similar question. Okay. Let me see. Enjoyment, free, hola, hey. Okay. Yeah, I think most of you have the similar feeling that casual communication is, like, informal. Okay. It's, joyful, delightful. It's easy, right? It's not like, wow, what is that person trying to say? Okay. So I think most of you understand that, right? So when you see your friend, you can say, hey, hello, what's up, right? But when you see your boss, I don't think you're going to say, hey, hello, what's up to your boss, right? Okay, so that is a bit different. So now that you have kind of put in your answers, okay, let's see the next question. Okay, the next questions here. You can still continue putting your answers. We'll just go on to the next slide. Okay, this one, do you see this now on your screen? What words come to your mind when you think about business communication? So just now was casual communications. Now is what when you think about business communications. Let me escape for a bit. Just give me 1 second here. I need to refresh. Okay. For business communication. Okay, some of you say nice to meet you. Polite, yes. Okay, clear. Formal, stressful. Yeah. Some business communications can be very stressful. If you are attending Friday's lesson or Friday's class, we are going to talk about presentation, and presentations can be stressful, especially if you talk to a lot of people, right? Now, a lot of you feel, let's see, business communications means serious, okay? And you are, let me see, prepared, okay? So this is what you guys think about business communications. That's good. That's a good start, okay? All right, so very nice. I think most of you have a correct understanding of casual versus formal business communications. Okay, now we are going to go back to the actual slide itself because we are going to participate in some activities to practice the difference. Okay, on my slides you'll see some icons of Singapore, so hopefully you get to enjoy them virtually. I just put some nice pictures on all my slides. Okay, let's talk about the essentials of business communications. Basically, what really is business communications, right? So it really is, and some of you already used this word just now, okay? It's a specialized form of language, okay? And it's used in business and professional environment, okay? It is characterized by a formal and professional tone. So a lot of you type the word formal for business communication. So that is right, okay? And business communications is very important for a number of reasons. All right. So before we go into the next activity, let me just explain a little bit what are some areas. For example, business communications is important for global communication because, you have to be respectful when you speak to, in a professional way for people from different places. Okay. And if you are good with business communications, when you talk, when you do your presentation, when you do your introduction, people think you are professional, all right? Because it is used for professional purposes. So it gives you professional credibility, okay? All right? Okay, here. Okay. And business communications can also be for clear communication. All right. So sometimes, you are doing a business deck. Sometimes, when you are being called for an interview, you need to use very clear way of explaining. And in business communications, clarity is very important. Okay. All right. And then business communications is important for formal documentation as well. Imagine you have a high-level meeting with some business leaders and people are taking notes, or even for government officials, they are taking notes. And they have to do this, right, because they need to document formally, but it's because it's part of business communications. So that's why it's also important. Okay, and then also probably the last one is the cross-cultural communication. Well, because sometimes, let's say in Western countries, if it's very localized, like for example in America, okay, people can be very friendly, they are very warm at the first instance, okay, but you'll find that in European culture maybe they don't open up so quickly. But this is where business communications can help because it sets a specific standard, right? So people understand that, okay, we need to be mindful of how the other person may behave or react. Okay, so finally, the last one is when you need to do networking, you need to build your relationship, you have to go for conferences, you need to go for exchanges, then these are all very formal events and you need to present yourself professionally, right? So this is where business communications come in. So let's do an activity now. I just want to take your survey. I just want to see which part of business communications you find is important for you. So we'll go back to the Menti. Okay, here. So this one, you can just slide the scale. All right. So in your opinion, how important is each aspect for being effective in business communication? So this is a sliding scale. If let's say you feel business communication is very important for global communication, you can slide the scale to go to strongly agree. If you think like, oh, formal documentation, okay, maybe it's somewhat important. So this is like, how do you feel about business communication? Okay, so let's see, because this will show us how you will use your professional skills. Okay, so this is for a lot of people who feel like, yeah, it's for networking and relationship building, then you may try to read more about business communications for networking because that tone is very different. Okay, right, do we have more answers here? Okay, let's see. All right. Okay. I think most of you feel like it's fairly important for a lot of things across the board. So that's okay. That's good. All right. No one's saying that, oh, it's not important. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Let's move on to the next next activity. Okay. Here. Let's go back here. We're going to start doing some activities, but before I do that, okay, here, we are going to do a compare and contrast, all right? So let me just give you an example, okay, because later you're going to type it in as well. So we want to differentiate. Differentiate means, know what's the difference between casual and professional language use. So for example, greetings, okay? So maybe if I meet somebody and a casual greeting is like, hey, what's up? I think a lot of you know that. But if I want to do a formal greeting, it's not going to be, hey, what's up, right? It's going to be, good morning, how are you today? So this is, you can say this to your boss or to your colleagues, right? This is what you can do. Now, if you want to address your colleagues, maybe, okay, it's a very close colleague, it's over lunch, you can say, hi, guys. But if you are in the meeting, you will not say hi guys. You will say like good morning team, hello everybody. Okay, so this is like how you would address them. And also don't forget that business communications is not only for verbal use, it's also a lot of written use. Okay, so you can check out when you type email or even text messages, you have to be very careful. So if you have an opening for the email, right, so casual way you can say like, hey Mark, hey James, hey whoever. Okay, it's okay to start like that. But in a formal email, you would go with like dear Mr. Who and who. Okay, all right. So this is you can check that out. Okay. Now making a request. Let's say you're eating at a restaurant with your friends and you're asking somebody to just pass you a plate. You can say, hey, can you pass me the plate, right? Can you pass me that? But if you're having a business lunch or some kind of formal meal, then you cannot tell the person you just met at a conference, can you pass me that? Or like, hey, you have to use it, you have to say it formally. Would you mind handing me the document, please? So it's like in a very respectful way, right? Because it's everyone here is professional. So what's going to happen next is that we are going to do it. Your input is going to be very interesting here. Okay, let's see if I can continue with this. So you have seen an example. Now you are going to practice that. Okay. So if you are in, let's say, a meeting, or you're meeting your friend, your colleague, and you are asked to give some comments, give some feedback. So let's say if somebody asks, like, what do you think of this proposal? If you're really like casual way, it's gonna be like, oh, that's cool, right? Oh, that's okay. But I don't think you can say that in a formal context. If your boss says, what do you think of this proposal? How do you reply in a formal business way? So let's see some answers here, okay? Someone said that's wonderful. Okay, let's think about it if it's suitable for a business context. So you got to imagine, what kind of a business context that is, right? Okay, I'm gonna wait for a few more answers. Here, do we have? Good, there's one there. This is a proposal worth considering. Okay, that's a very formal way. So you're supposed to put in the answer that is in business, like you would use in business communications. So are we going to say just awesome? Not necessarily. That's a good idea. In my opinion, I think this proposal is good. Okay, okay. Let me see what else here. I'm just sliding down. Very outstanding. I agree. Sounds feasible. It's a special perspective to see. Okay, so look, we've got 68 people in the classroom. We've got 23 responses. So hopefully the other 40 students can also participate, and just click. You got to click submit to make sure that your answer is being submitted. Okay. So this is one of the first exercises we're going to do. Do we have more answers coming in? The proposal is pretty good. All right. Now, okay. In my humble opinion, I think it's pretty good. Okay. Okay. Normally we don't use the word pretty good in formal communications. Because pretty good. Well, look, if you're going to speak with someone, you're going to listen to somebody talk, professional talk, and you hear this word, oh, pretty good, pretty awesome. The answers are very vague, right? If you want to, if you want to hear good feedback, like professional feedback, you are expecting something like, the outline of the proposal is really clear, though I feel like there are some details that can be adjusted. So these are the areas where I think we can improve. These are the kind of things, like when you give feedback, it needs to be, the more specific you are, the more value you have. Okay, so that's the key thing I want you to think about. When you think about doing your business communications, think about the value in your words. Okay, let's move on, because we have another opportunity. Now, this also we use a lot in business sense. If let's say you need to apologize, okay, for whatever reason, like maybe casually you bump into somebody, in the train because it's crowded, then you can say, oh, I'm so sorry about that. But I don't know if it's in a business setting, a professional setting, like, okay, the meeting started late, or some technical issues. So how would you apologize? Are you going to say like, sorry about that? Or are you just going to say like, whoops, sorry? It's too casual, right? So how would you give like a formal, proper professional apology? My bad. Okay. My bad. Like I said, can we try this? Because my apologies, my bad. Like I said just now, right? When we give professional feedback, we don't want to just give very like too simplified an answer. It shows that it needs to, when you're apologizing, you need to show your sincerity. Okay. And you need to make it sound like formal, because this is for business, right? If let's say you had to apologize to your teacher, are you just going to say, sorry, my fault, or my bad? Okay. Or let's see, we've got some, or like, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize for my mistake. It was not intentional, and I will not repeat again. I'll not repeat that. Okay. Okay, let's see. Got some pretty solid answers coming up here. Please accept our sincere apologies, okay, due to the unexpected problems. Very nice. Sorry, I'm late to the meeting. I was caught up. Very good. Okay, so you're getting better. Okay, we deeply regret any inconvenience this situation may have caused you. Yeah, so it sounds sincere. It sounds like they can trust you. Okay, this is very important in it's very important in business communications. The trust is very important. So that's why how you say sorry, how you give comment, how you give feedback, this one, oops, it matters. Okay, hold on, let me just scroll down. Okay, I apologize for this. Please allow me to do something to make up for it. Yep, very nice. Okay, please accept my sincere apologies. That's also very good. I'm genuinely sorry about that. I promise I will improve it. Okay, that's cool. That's great. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we have other ways, other categories as well as part of business communications. Let's see. Okay, so let's say you are in a meeting, all right? And obviously for meetings, people talk. They talk, they discuss, they brainstorm. So if you're in a meeting, how would or you want somebody to come to a meeting with you, how would you say that? Maybe one day you say like, okay, you realize that your friend is always copying your homework and you would like to tell your teacher about it. Are you going to say, teacher, can we talk about something? Or are you going to do it formally like, dear teacher, I do have a feedback. I'm wondering if you may have some time. We can talk about it. Or if you're planning some kind of school activities, you need to talk to someone else. Oops, sorry, is it because this is not shown here? The screen, the QR code is showing now. Okay, we can discuss this in more details. Okay, what other ways can you express? Guys, you can perfectly use ChatGPT or Google if you need to. No worries about that. And then try to, if you're using ChatGPT to help you, that's perfectly okay. You can put the answer in, but make sure you check that. Let's see. So give it some thought. Yeah, it needs to sound like, again, for all kinds of business communication, it needs to come across as sincere. It needs to come off as you are professional, like you know what you're doing. Okay. Okay. Could we discuss something? Do we have more answers here? I'm just going to wait for a little bit. Could you spare some time for us to have some in-depth discussion about this? Well, this is a very, very formal, uh, request, which is great, If somebody were to ask me something like this, immediately I would think like, okay, this person like really is very serious about something. It seems like, something important needs to be discussed, and I will respond. So if you really, really ask somebody like this, could you spare some time for us to have some in-depth discussion about this? It shows that it's really important. So it's important. So you convey that message. Okay. There's a gift. Okay. So let me just see. Yeah. All right. The other answers are not like they are wrong. They're okay. All right. They're okay, but there are also effective ways. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. This is also good. Like, excuse me for bothering you. May I have a chat with you when you have some free time? This is a very clever move. And I can tell you it works all the time. Every time you approach somebody and you want to ask that person, but you also say that at your convenience or when you have some free time, that person will actually respond to you right away. Because it shows that you are really considering for the other person. Okay, I'll say when I'll say like, yeah, I have some time now. I can have a quick chat. All right. So this is a good formal business communications. Let me see what else we have this. Okay, could we have a thorough discussion about that and exchange our opinions? This is also very good because you put out the expectation, right? Like, you want to have the discussion, and the purpose is you want to exchange opinions. So if I, the person who hear this question, I know what to expect when I go into this meeting. Okay, so it's not it's very clear to me and it's easier for me to make decisions. Okay, very nice. We've got 27 out of 80 participants who's responding. It's okay. I believe I still have some more opportunities. So let's take a look. One more here. Okay, expressing agreement. So this is different from giving feedback or giving comments. Like, if let's say you have one of your friends says like, let's have a special show for this. Let's put together a PowerPoint presentation to do this. How are you going to say? Are you going to just say, oh yeah, sure? Or are you going to say yes? Or, or you have other ways to express that. It can also be things like, if somebody says like, I feel like, let's say somebody says, okay, I would like to propose that we change the meeting time. So if you agree, how would you express it formally? So this is about agreement, so not about disagreement. So if someone says like, I would like to, may I propose to reschedule the meeting, or may I propose to set up a different meeting time? How do you say yes professionally and formally? Let's see. Okay, are you able to enter this room here? Any issues, or is it okay? Can you see? Okay. Concur. Okay. Remember, in business communication, it's not only the words itself, but things like, does it come across like you giving your real opinion? You are, how do you say that? You treat it seriously, and especially you really mean what you say. Okay, you are serious about what you say, and you are doing it very respectfully. Because some people be like, okay, sure, why not? Like, it's like, I know you said yes, you agree through words, but your tone doesn't show that, right? Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. Let's see. I got really good answers now. You guys are getting better. So we have, you said an important point. I completely agree with your point. Couldn't agree more. Okay, I'll take this idea into consideration. Okay. Let me see. You're onto something. That's an excellent idea. Okay. Viewpoint I agree with. Okay. All right. Yes, we are on the same page. It's my pleasure to have your creative ideas in this project. Okay. You convince me. Okay, good. All right. What you said hit the nail on the head. Okay. Okay, and here, the thing is, when you like this one, when you give agreement and you encourage it, that is even better. Like, for example, that sounds really feasible. Let's put it into practice. That means not only are you agreeing, verbally, you are, really supporting it, and you're encouraging it, and you are demonstrating that you are. So this is a very strong way of putting forward business communications. Okay. Dream your pros marketable. Okay. Yeah, and then here also same way, also some encouragement, right? I agree with your suggestion and look forward to the next steps. Yeah. So this gives the signal to the person that, please proceed. Okay. So that's really, really cool. Okay, great. Now let's see. Do you guys have any more questions so far? Here. Okay, this is the last one for today's activities. Now, if you had to provide recommendations for someone's idea, what would your business communication script look like? So keep this is a very broad question, right? If let's say, well, you're providing recommendations for a few reasons. One is because whatever the other person recommends, you think is not good, but you don't want to just tell the person your ideas are not good. Here are mine. Yeah, that's not the right way to recommend, right? Okay, you want to say something like, some of your points are really valid, but I do have other alternatives if you would be open to hearing them. So that is how, like for example, there's an example of how you could provide recommendation. So how would you? I just want to hear from you. How would you do that? Okay. It can be a recommendation for improvement, or it could be a recommendation for referring somebody, or doing something. So think about it and then put your answers in there. Okay. I believe you all are thinking very hard about it. I have a question about that. May I ask something about that? Okay. Okay, so, and then we have somebody who says that's a solid point, but personally, I would suggest, okay, that's also a good way. Another good way which I like to use is asking the other person, would you be open to this idea I have, which is doing this and that? So would you be open to doing something? Like, this is a good way to let people know that you want to make a recommendation. Okay, I have an idea. May I speak that? Yeah, very good. Based on our analysis, I suggest we proceed with this plan. Okay, I would like to suggest. Okay, do we have more? Can we have more students putting in your answers? We have like 7 right now. We've still got a bit more time before Q&A. Okay. I don't want to correct you, but I found a small mistake. Cool. Okay. Well, you are correcting. You should tell you. So, but this is a professional way of telling the person. Okay. Thanks for your sharing, but I think it can be better. May I give a suggestion? Okay. All right. Okay. You've done a good job so far in the quarter. I'd like to recommend you to our partner. Sure. Okay, let's see. This is also a very good one, a very strong business communication statement. Your ideas are really important, to me, but there's a little thing to adjust. This is really good because you make the other person, you show like you value the other person a lot. And even when you value the other person a lot, you just let him know or her know, like, oh, just one little thing, without, saying like, this is a bad idea. Okay, so this is very diplomatic. And that's how business communications can be. It should be diplomatic. Oops, sorry. Okay, I want to go scroll down. Okay. To ensure full alignment with something, it's imperative that we adopt an action. Okay, so this is not that it's a bad recommendation way of recommending. It depends on the context. So if let's say you are dealing with some kind of very high risk, confidential information that includes someone's, date of birth, phone number, address, and all that, and you need to, really be firm, then you can say like to ensure full alignment with something, that it's imperative to do this and that. That would be a way to recommend. So this one is depending on the context. Okay. Let me see what else. Okay. From my perspective, that's also good. Okay. That's a great idea, and I think it might be beneficial to do something. Okay. Yeah, that's all very good. And your idea sounds great. However, I do have a few suggestions for your consideration. This is also good. This is also a good way and a professional way to communicate with someone else. Okay. And here's also a very straightforward one. I think another way that could achieve our goal. Okay. That's very honest. Okay. All right. Okay. Do we have, I think that's about it for this group of answers here. Okay. So basically, thank you for participating in this one. I will go back to our slides. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, so you guys have so you see this was the activity, right? And you guys have completed you've completed this activity with you in your own words. So I'm glad that you were able to put in the real and correct business communications phrasing for a specific scenario. Okay, so that's really, really, really good. Okay, so because we are already nearing the end of today's session. So basically, I just don't know if you may have any questions that you would like to ask before we close off today, because it's probably just 5 more minutes left. And maybe as you think about the questions, perhaps would you mind kindly just helping to scan this QR code and am I still sharing my screen? I just want to make sure. Yeah, just would you just scan this QR code to just give some feedback? But as you're doing that, I welcome any questions. Okay. Any questions? No? Or even the teachers, if you have any questions or comment, you can let me know for now. Okay. If there are no more questions, can I hand it back to the host and the moderator?
Okay, sure. It's Shirley again. Dear teachers and students, thank you so much for joining our online international lecture. Due to the limitation of the time, we don't have many chances to listen to more in-depth knowledge about the so-called business communication. But no worry, next week we still have another chance. Together with Jean interesting sharing. We explore the differences between business communication and casual daily communication. I really love the design of using the Mentimeter to invoke our thought. Through the interactives on Mentimeter, we reflected on how language, tone, presentation styles, and the verbal expression can change depending on different scenarios. We truly hope that you can enjoy the session and gain valuable insights. We learn how to use the words and correctly on different occasions. And it's time for you to fill in your certificate. As for the certificate, the link on the chat box. After you give our teacher Jean some sincere, grateful words, you will get the certificate from our school, the principal of our school, which can be used for your learning portfolio. And as for the QR code on Jim's slide, I think it can serve a very good gift to show our sincere gratitude to our host. Because we just built up the MOU, but we didn't spend money in hiring the international lecturer. We are deeply grateful to Jim and Jesse for helping us to have the international business English course. We are looking forward to seeing you next week at the same time. Okay?
I believe okay. Is it Friday? It's not Friday, right? It's the second
Yes.
part, actually.
Yes. The second
Yes,
hour.
next Friday.
Next Friday, the second the second section.
Yes,
Maybe
same
it's
time,
about
second.
the English
It will be
presentation
on.
skills.
Yes, it will be on presentation. So we will also have a lot of activities.
Thank you, Jim. I love it.
Thank you. Do I just wait for another colleague?
Oh yeah. Jesse, do you have anything words to say? We also have some teachers from Taiwan. They are also interested in knowing more about your college. If you are available, maybe you can say something about your colleague, SIM.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessie, and I am from the Singapore Institute of Management. So thank you, everyone, for joining today on this session. So if your school is interested in organizing such a workshop with SIM, with our school, just feel free to contact me through Teacher Shirley. So we are always welcome to do this kind of workshops and to promote interactions with your schools and SIM in the future. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week.
Yes. See you. And I want to add that if you are interested, you can just contact Jessie or me, because some senior high school students and teachers also take their students to form the study group, and they really visited their country, their college. And our former principal, also took our students to their college. We had lots of fun, and thank you so much for our teacher Jim and Jessie for their, unwavering love and help. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you, Jean. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.